This is a story that's been millions of years in the making. It's our story. But here's the thing, there's a huge mystery right at the center of it. Why, out of all the different kinds of humans who have ever lived, are we the only ones left?
Okay, get this, because it's a little mind-bending. For the vast majority of human history, we were not alone. I mean, just try to picture it. A world with tough Neanderthals, these mysterious Denisovans, and probably a bunch of other human relatives we haven't even found yet. For most of our history, that was totally normal. So, where did they all go? All right, to even start to unravel that, we've got to go way back. I mean, way back, to where our family's first steps were taken. So before we dive in, let's get our bearings and meet the main characters in this drama. Our story kicks off millions of years ago with Australopithecus. Then we get the handy human, Homo habilis. After them, the great explorer, Homo erectus. And then finally, maybe 200,000 years ago, boom, we show up, Homo sapiens. This is basically the cast of our incredible story. So our deep ancestral story really gets going with Australopithecus. And of course, the most famous fossil is Lucy. But what her species did was revolutionary. They walked upright. And look, this wasn't just some minor tweak. This was an absolute game changer. By freeing up their hands, it set the stage for maybe the single greatest advantage in our entire lineage, the ability to make and use really complex tools. And that evolutionary momentum just keeps building, with Homo erectus, which literally means upright human. And let me tell you, these ancestors were total game changers. I mean, just look at this list. They were innovating everywhere, better tools, harnessing fire, building shelters. But the biggest deal here, the most important thing, they were the first to actually migrate out of Africa. These guys were the true pioneers, setting out to explore the whole world. And that pioneering spirit, well, it leads us right into the next huge chapter of our story, the Great Human Expansion. So as these different groups spread out across continents, they started adapting to totally new environments. And over these massive stretches of time, this separation led to new branches on the human family tree. The world became this fascinating patchwork of humanity. You had the really tough Neanderthals in Europe, the kind of mysterious Denisovans over in Asia, and of course, our own ancestors, Homo sapiens, popping up in Africa. Okay, so you've got all of this diversity. How in the world did we end up as the only ones left? For a long time, scientists were pretty split. There were two big ideas. You had the out-of-Africa model, which basically said Homo sapiens grew up in Africa, spread out, and just replaced everybody else. Then there was the multi-regional model, which argued that we all evolved from Homo erectus in different parts of the world at the same time. And this quote really just cuts to the core of the problem we're trying to solve. The source material says it perfectly. The diversity of human species declined and only Homo sapiens remained. Think about that. A world once buzzing with different kinds of humans became home to just one. The big question is still, why? For decades, that replacement idea, the out-of-Africa theory, was pretty much the frontrunner. It was clean, it was simple. But then, modern genetics came along and uncovered a massive plot twist, hidden right there in our own DNA. And that plot twist, it all comes down to this number, 1 to 4%. That's how much Neanderthal DNA you'll find in the genomes of many people today. And the implication of that is just stunning. It means we didn't just replace them. No way. We met them, we lived near them, and yeah, we interbred. The real story was so much messier, so much more interesting than we ever thought. So this changes everything, right? It wasn't a simple story of conquest. So if we were mingling with other species, what gave Homo sapiens the edge? What allowed us to be the one species to survive? So what pushed our ancestors to leave home in the first place? Well, it was kind of like a push and a pull. On one hand, climate change was pushing them out. Africa was getting drier, resources were getting scarce. But on the other hand, their whole hunter-gatherer lifestyle was already pulling them forward. I mean, their life was movement. And it seems pretty likely they followed these resource-rich coastlines, which would have been like a superhighway into a whole new world. But just being on the move wasn't enough. Our ancestors had a secret weapon, technology. Yeah, you can really think of it like a series of software updates for their toolkit. Version 1.0, you had Oldowan tools. Super basic, right? Just sharpened stones, but they got the job done for chopping and scraping. Then you get the 2.0 update, the Acheulean hand axe. Much better design, way more versatile. But the real game changer was the 3.0 update, Mustorian tools. Now we're talking. These weren't just clunky rocks. These were precision instruments, spearheads, sharp knives, all made from carefully prepared stone flakes. And what this shows is an incredible ability to think ahead, to plan, and to create specialized tools for specific jobs. That is a huge survival advantage. So you put it all together, this incredible adaptation, the drive to migrate, non-stop innovation, and yeah, even a little interbreeding with our relatives. And Homo sapiens didn't just survive, they thrived. Which brings us to our shared legacy. You know, when you really get down to it, maybe the answer was in our name all along, Homo sapiens, the wise human. Because it really seems like it was this unique wisdom, our incredible capacity for complex language, for cooperation on a massive scale, and for relentless innovation that ultimately tipped the scales. So, you see, our survival was never a sure thing, not by a long shot. It was earned, step by step, over a journey of millions of years. Yeah, we were tested by everything from a changing climate to other human species, but we met every challenge with our two greatest superpowers, cooperation and innovation. We built the tools, and we built the social bonds to not just survive, but to take over the world, leaving us as the last humans standing. I mean, what an epic story of survival, right? Spanning continents and millennia, and it all led right here to this moment. It's a journey that's almost too big to wrap your head around, and it leaves us with one last big question to think about. After everything it took to get here, where are we going to go in the next 1,000 years?